A divided Africa is a weak Africa, and a weak Africa is easy to control. Hi everybody.
Usually the divide and conquer tactics have always been used by the oppressor to keep the oppressed oppressed.
I have a question. Why does it seem like we can never really come together and do something as one? Why are Africans always fighting one another? Why is the richest country in natural resources the poorest in development? Those are my questions. Alright, let's just jump into it. Africa is divided. We all know this. You know this. I know this. Africa is divided. And it's not by accident. It's actually by design. And the worst part is, most people don't even realize they are playing into the game. Because think about it. A continent this rich, with this many resources, but yet we are still struggling. How does that make sense? Make that make sense. The sense is not making. So in this video, we are going to be looking at how divide and conquer works so well in Africa. How divide and conquer is actually a tactic of the West in order to subjugate or control Africa. And in order for us to do that, we have to go back in time. The year is 1884, the Berlin Conference. I am pretty sure you know what happened. We are taught this in school, but if you don't, here you go. A bunch of Europeans sat down on a table, a big ass table, and drew lines on a map, and boom, Africa was divided. Basically, no Africans were invited. There were no inputs from any African, just a bunch of outsiders, foreigners, sitting and, dividing the continent into pieces. Fast forward, independence came, but the borders, did it change? No, the borders remained. The damage was already done. We were left with countries that make no sense. And the economy, still controlled by guess who? The outsiders. The same people who chopped up the continent into pieces. One stark example is Nigeria, where the British integrated over 250 ethnic groups into a single colonial entity. This artificial union led to the 1967 to 1970 Biafra Civil War, which claimed over 1 million lives. Similarly, Belgium's colonial policy of ethnic favoritism in Rwanda exacerbated tensions between the Hutus and the Tutsis, which ended up causing the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. An estimated 800,000 people were massacred in that genocide. As an African, I want to ask you this. Have you ever sat and really thought, but who profits from this mess? From keeping Africa divided? Who profits from keeping Africa divided? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever wondered why African countries are always in conflict? Always at war? Always broke? Poor? Don't worry, I'll tell you. Because a divided Africa is a weak Africa. A divided Africa is a weak Africa, and a weak Africa is easy to control. Because even though we want to be left alone and in peace, the West, China, Russia, and those people, they all benefit from seeing us in pieces. That's where the money lies, from us being divided. Divide and conquer. If you didn't know this, global superpowers and multinational corporations have a vested interest in keeping Africa divided. Foreign governments manipulate African politics, fund opposition groups, exploit conflicts to gain access to valuable mineral resources. This almost sounds cliche at this point because we keep saying it over and over again, but the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which has vast deposit of cobalt and coltan, by the way, which are critical for global technology industries, has been trapped in conflict for decades, with various international actors benefiting from this conflict, from this instability. China, France, the US, and Russia all maintain military presence in Africa, which is another strategic way in which division is reinforced in Africa. The recent coups in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali highlight the influence of foreign actors. From the Russian Wagner mercenaries to French economic interests, they take our gold, oil, diamond, cobalt, and even our fish, while we sit here fighting over nonsense. Who cooks the best jollof rice? Which country has the biggest nyash? Seriously? It's important. It's important to know all these things, but not right now. Meanwhile, on the other side of our continent, of this beautiful continent of ours, our leaders are out there shaking hands, signing deals, and collecting paychecks, while we suffer. While Africans suffer. And all this promotes ethnic and tribal loyalties, which supersedes national unity. And maybe you don't know, this leads to corruption, civil unrest, and election violence. For example, in Kenya, elections have repeatedly triggered ethnic-based conflicts. The 2007-2008 post-election violence is one of these conflicts, which resulted in over 1,100 deaths. and displaced 600,000 people. And this is the danger of politicizing tribalism. Similarly, in South Sudan, Africa's youngest nation, power struggles between President Salva Kiir, a Dinka, and former Vice President Riek Machar, a Nuer, led to a devastating civil war in 2013, causing nearly 400,000 deaths and, frankly, instability that might still even be going on right now. And in these power struggles, it might interest you to know that there are actually Western powers that are funding oppositions, funding one side and letting the other suffer, just to create this instability, this divide between the country, between Africans. So basically, this is what I'm saying. They pit tribes against tribes, nations against nations, leaders against leaders, South Africans against Nigerians, Africans against Africans. Hell, they even pit Black Americans or African Americans against Africans. You think all of these things happening on the internet is random? No, it's not random. Even beyond political instability, African nations always frequently compete with one another, against one another, instead of collaborating. The East African community and the economic community of the West African states has wanted to integrate the two regions in the past, but protectionist policies, border disputes, and trade restrictions still hinders intra-African cooperation. According to the African Development Bank, intra-African trade accounts for only 15% of total African trade. That's compared to 58% of Asia and 68% in Europe. 15%, only 15. Congo is there sitting on trillions of dollars in minerals, yet its people are struggling. Nigeria, one of the biggest oil producers.
Fuel price may increase in Nigeria again as Dangote refinery suspend the sales of fuel in Naira. Now, before you blame Dangote, just listen to this video and hear what I have to say. Why did Dangote, halt the sales of fuel in Naira? NNPC is planning or has started selling fuel, that's crude oil, to Dangote in dollars as well. That means they are no longer selling for him in Naira. And him too, he want to start selling for marketers in dollars. And what do you think is going to be the end product of this? The citizens are going to suffer.
Make that make sense. No, seriously, make it make sense. And don't even get me started on culture, because that is the real battlefield. They have made us believe that anything African is backwards, outdated, not modern enough. Our language, dying. Our history, forgotten. Even our motherfucking clothes, our damn clothes. We would rather rock a Gucci, a Louis V, a Versace than wear a product by our own people. Even capitalism is even corroding that product that is made by our own people. The greed in capitalism is even killing the product made by our own people, because now when our own people make things, they also want to charge as much money as Gucci charges, as Louis Vuitton charges. They also charge, they make it so fucking expensive too, because of capitalism, the greed of capitalism too. Bro, there's no way out. It's crazy. It feels like we are so brainwashed, we don't even see it. We consume their media, their education, their narratives on things. Meanwhile, they control the game. We consume, they control. The West controls the news, China controls the infrastructure, and France controls the damn currency. And we are just sitting here arguing over who is the best at what. But here is the truth they do not know that you know. Africa can rise. In fact, it's the only way forward. And the moment we start realizing that, trust me, everything is gonna shake. Imagine an Africa where we trade with each other instead of begging the West, where we protect our resources instead of selling them for scraps, where we invest in our own youth, our media, our education, and our future. Imagine that, because at this point right now, even in trade, Africa is always at a disadvantage. The EU-Africa trade, for example, have historically favored European exports while restricting Africa's ability to industrialize. But all that is not going to happen if we don't make it happen. Our leaders? Forget them. Fuck them. They will do what is best for their pockets. I mean, they have shown us this so many times. They will do what is best for their pockets. The real change starts with us. You, me, and every African that refuses to be another pawn in this game. So, what is the move? I got a couple, so listen up. 1. Support African businesses. Very important. 2. Learn your history. Learn your own history. As me as I am right now, I'm going to learn my history because I really don't know it. I know bits and small parts of it. I'm going to try to learn all of mine. 3. Stop idolizing foreign countries that do not give a damn about you. 4. Stop idolizing rich people, even Africans, even rich Africans that do not give a fuck about you. Stop idolizing rich people, rich musicians, and all these people that have a lot of money that do not give a fuck about you, about the problems that you're going through, about things that are affecting you. Stop it. 5. Demand accountability from your leaders. We must demand accountability from our leaders, because if we do not fix this now, we are just passing the same broken system to the next generation. And that's bad. That is really bad. So, tell me, what do you think is the biggest thing holding Africans back? Drop a comment and let's talk about it. And if you are tired of the lies, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us wake some people up. See you in the next one. Congo is there sitting on trillions of minerals. Congo is there sitting on trillions of millions. Trillions what? Trillions of dollars.